Coca-Cola and Captivity. Summer, 1943, Camp Crossville, Tennessee. The bottle in the German soldier's hand hissed faintly as the brown liquid inside danced with bubbles. He had never seen anything like it. After 2 long years in North Africa, surviving on hard biscuits and ersatz coffee, this sweet carbonated drink called Coca-Cola seemed like something from another world. It cost only 5 cents at the camp canteen, the guards told him, the same price American children paid with their pocket money. That summer, across hundreds of prison camps scattered through the United States, 371,683 German prisoners of war would come face to face with a reality that shattered every belief Nazi propaganda had instilled in them. They had been told that Americans were weak, decadent, incapable of discipline. What they discovered was a nation where ice cream was an everyday treat, where soft drinks were consumed like water, and where chocolate bars were so common that guards handed them out without thought. These small luxuries, unthinkable back home, would quietly dismantle the ideology of Nazi superiority more effectively than any Allied pamphlet or classroom lecture. Because the Americans didn't just win battles, they won by abundance, by proving that industrial democracy could outproduce tyranny not just in tanks and planes, but in sugar, milk, and fizzing bottles of Coke. The desert ends. When the Afrika Korps surrendered in Tunisia in May 1943, nearly 250,000 German and Italian troops were taken prisoner. They were veterans, men hardened by desert warfare, who had driven the British to the gates of Egypt under Rommel's command. They expected punishment, starvation, humiliation. That's what their government had promised would happen. Instead, within hours of surrender, they were handed American K-rations, small cardboard boxes containing crackers, processed cheese, candy, fruit bars, instant coffee, sugar tablets, and cigarettes. American soldiers grumbled about these rations. German prisoners treated them like feasts. At the processing camps in North Africa, U.S. mess halls served pancakes with syrup, fresh eggs, and milk, foods that had disappeared from German rations years before. It was the beginning of something larger, the feeding of enemies with better food than their own army could provide. No one yet realized its psychological power, but history would record it as the start of an ideological collapse. One German officer later told the International Red Cross, "We expected to be starved. Instead, the Americans fed us better than our own army had. That confusion was the beginning of our education." Crossing the Ocean of Plenty. The journey to America itself became a classroom in abundance. The Liberty ships, steel giants mass-produced at such speed that one was completed every 42 hours, carried up to 30,000 prisoners each month across the Atlantic. Naval records reveal something remarkable. German prisoners received the same 3,500-calorie daily rations as the ship's crew. Fresh bread, meat, vegetables, coffee with sugar and milk. Every Liberty ship was equipped with modern refrigeration, standard issue for American vessels. Food stayed fresh for the entire voyage. And then came the impossible moment. The USS General M.B. Stewart in July 1943 logged an entry that still startles historians. Served ice cream to prisoners on July 4th. 10 gallons per batch, made by the ship's own ice cream machine. For men who hadn't seen such a dessert since before the war, that frozen scoop in the middle of the Atlantic was something close to magic.
This contradiction grew sharper when they finally stepped onto American soil at ports like Norfolk and Newport News. The Norfolk Naval Base, stretching across 4,300 acres, moved more cargo daily than Germany's biggest ports handled in a week. At the port shops and exchanges, prisoners caught glimpses of shelves stacked with Hershey, Mars, and Nestle candy bars, each costing 5 cents, just like anywhere else in America. On the train journey inland, the lesson continued. Instead of cattle cars, there were passenger coaches. Dining cars served meals with fried chicken, vegetables, pie, and coffee. Menus verified by military records from July 1943. And again, the realization struck. This wasn't special treatment. It was normal life in the United States. Camp Crossville and the Mathematics of Abundance. The prison camp network that spread across America during the war was built far beyond Geneva Convention standards. At places like Camp Crossville, Tennessee, prisoners lived in barracks with electric lighting, hot water, flush toilets, and heating. But what stunned them most were the camp exchanges, the PX stores. Quartermaster records show shelves lined with Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, RC Cola, and local sodas, candy bars of every kind, fruit, tobacco, beer at 3.2% alcohol, and ice cream wherever refrigeration allowed. Each prisoner earned between 80 cents and $1 per day for labor. With both Coke and candy bars priced at 5 cents, a day's wage could buy 16 sweet luxuries, a concept almost beyond imagination for men from a country where sugar itself was rationed by the gram. Coca-Cola became the symbol of something far greater than taste. It was the liquid emblem of American industrial democracy.
Historical narration in American accent. Coca-Cola and the Code of Democracy. In 1943 alone, the Coca-Cola Company produced 5 billion bottles, each guaranteed at a flat price of 5 cents worldwide by military contract. To the German mind, trained to see hierarchy and scarcity, this was incomprehensible. They watched as Americans drank it everywhere, at gas stations, in schools, factories, farms, young and old alike. They saw half-empty bottles tossed away without thought, and realized that this nation's power lay not in its armies, but in its capacity to produce enough to waste. Every bottle tasted the same, from Maine to Texas, proof of industrial precision and quality control unmatched in German industry. At Camp Hearne, Texas alone, records show 7,000 bottles consumed every week during the summer of 1943. It wasn't propaganda, it was lived proof. Then came the ice cream. For men who hadn't tasted it since before the war, it was unthinkable that such a thing could exist in captivity. Yet Army records confirm that camps with proper refrigeration served ice cream regularly during the summer months. The U.S. military considered it essential for morale, so essential that it even built ice cream ships to supply the Pacific Fleet. At Camp Shelby, Mississippi, on July 4, 1943, prisoners watched as soldiers made gallons of ice cream by hand, mixing ice, salt, cream, and sugar just to celebrate. To the Germans, this was madness. Ice in July? Cream and sugar used for pleasure food during wartime? By 1944, many camps had electric ice cream machines producing flavors like chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, butter pecan, more variety than Germany had ever known.